last night on The Bachelor. We've done it. We're here at the end of Peter's season of The Bachelor. And while normally this is a time for cheering, applauding the happy couple, and wishing them all the best moving forward, this season's got me more like...
I'm pretty tired. Think I'll go home now.
But while yes, this has been quite the dumpster fire of a season, last night, I gotta say, was some entertaining television. At moments it was laugh out loud, shocking, often concerning, but at the end of the day, it was just impossible to look away from. And I want to say, thank you for watching along with me these past couple of months. It's been a wild ride, and we've got one last recap for Peter's season. And this one, it's a doozy. The night begins, as is custom, with Chris Harrison introducing part 2 of the finale and priming us up for what is sure to be an after the final rose for the ages. Oh, and look who's here!
Kelley, it's good to see you in the house tonight.
Obviously, the people at The Bachelor saw how outraged folks were that Kelley wasn't invited to the Women Tell-All, so they brought her in tonight to sit in the audience where she can watch and won't be able to say anything the producers don't like. Either that, or they knew what was going to happen later on in the episode and decided it would be wise to have an attorney present. But we'll get to all that in a bit. First, we must head back to Alice Springs, where Peter here is running away from the mess of a season he's made. Actually, he's just running to clear his head, because while Hannah Ann is the only woman remaining, Madison leaving him just days before has really torn him up. But after a few shots of Peter looking pensively into the distance, Peter's suddenly cured of his heartache and decides that Hannah Ann is the one. He loves her, and it's time to pick out a ring. And it wouldn't be a Bachelor finale without a Neil Lane Diamonds advertisement. So Peter then gets into his suit, heads into the Outback, and calls Mr. Sluss to ask him for his permission to marry his daughter. To which Mr. Sluss replies, "Sorry, we're eating dinner right now. Could you call back later?" Beep boop. And the final rose ceremony is upon us. The moment we've all been waiting for until Chris Harrison enters. He has some shocking news for Peter. Yes, it's that time, the moment that has been in all the previews that have led up to this part of the season. What is it, Chris? What's the tea? What shocking news do you have?
There's something I just found out about Hannah Ann. To be honest, I'm not positive she's coming.
That's it? That's the news that production team has been going crazy over? Literally moments later, it cuts to Hannah Ann arriving at the rose ceremony, and I'm here like...
Why are you the way that you are? I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
So anyways, Hannah Ann decides that despite Peter telling her that his heart was pulling him in two directions, she decides to show up. And by the way, she still doesn't know that Madison has left. Hannah Ann then approaches the final rose ceremony and greets Peter. He begins the customary finale rose ceremony speech before Peter tells her he has to follow his heart and...
So, Madison.
And my heart leapt into my throat at this point. I thought we were about to have one of these moments.
Hi, Ross. Take the Emily. Take the Rachel.
But no, there's more to it. Peter's finally going to let Hannah Ann know about Madison.
She actually left 2 days ago.
Because nothing screams romance more than mentioning your ex in your proposal. And that's not the worst thing Peter does in this moment. The worst thing Peter does here is leave everything with Madison ambiguous. Him saying Madison left 2 days ago isn't exactly the clear picture Hannah Ann deserves to hear. She could be sitting here thinking, oh, well, that means he dumped Madison and that I'm his undisputed love. Anyways, Peter and Hannah Ann get engaged, and normally at this point you're looking at your watch and going, oh, there's only 10 minutes left in the show. Just enough time to bring them on live and see how they're doing since the filming ended. So when Peter gets down on one knee and we're only 30 minutes into a 2-hour episode, you know it's all about to crash and burn. The show then cuts forward to Peter back in LA to tell his family all about who he's picked, and I swear, all it takes is for Peter to walk into the room and Barb is just like... So Peter sits them down and the whole family is here waiting to find out who Peter is engaged to, like he was a doctor coming back with test results. So Peter lets them know that it is their love, Hannah Ann, and Barb is like... And I swear, if she says bud one more time, I don't think I can look at a Budweiser beer ever again without having horrible flashbacks. Peter then FaceTimes Hannah Ann and everyone's just so happy. Cut to the live show, and it's time to bring out Peter to detail how things have gone since that moment. And one of the first things Chris Harrison mentions is how difficult it must have been after the breakup with Madison, and here it begins. The Barbara. Because as soon as the word Madison leaves Chris Harrison's mouth, they cut to Peter's mom giving this look. Now, Chris Harrison says there's a lot more to talk about, but before that, we have to see what happens when Hannah Ann returns to Los Angeles. And at this point, it had been a month since the filming of the final rose ceremony in Australia. Peter welcomes Hannah Ann in and gets nice and cozy with her because, you know, that's a smart thing to do when you're thinking about breaking up with someone. Oh yeah, that's what's about to happen, a breakup. But despite the closeness and the kind words that Peter starts this conversation off with, Hannah Ann can see the writing on the wall. As Peter starts to well up, talking about how much of a struggle things have been, Hannah Ann interjects saying, I signed up for a partnership. 2 people working through hard times together. 2 people working on a love for each other.
If you can't give me that love in return, then that's not a relationship.
Peter then cries and says, you've always been by my side through all of this. And Hannah Ann is like, yeah, because that's all I've ever wanted too. Someone to be by my side no matter what. And after that, it's clear. This relationship is ending right here. So from here on in, it's no more Mrs. Nice Sluice. Sluss? Sluice? Sluss? So Peter comes after her saying, I'm so sorry. And Hannah Ann is like, sorry for what? For not being a man? Not being true to your word? You took my engagement away from me because you selfishly didn't want to see me go. Also, at this point, some genius in the showroom said, get a camera on Barb. I want her reaction to everything. And thus, the Barb cam was born.
Here you go, here's this.
Barb actually clapping when Hannah Ann returns the ring, I was dead. Like, she's about to throw Peter to the curb and adopt Hannah Ann instead. So that's it. The 2 are done. Hannah Ann walks out, Barb is in shambles, and we cut back to the live segment with Chris Harrison and Peter, where it's time to bring Hannah Ann out. And right off the bat, Hannah Ann gets into it. Peter, you said everything just right in order to keep me strung along.
Either you don't mean what you say, or you don't understand the weight of your words and how they impact people.
And I kid you not, Barb is nearly giving a standing ovation after that. Hannah Ann then slams Peter for not being open and honest and for downplaying how he felt about Madison, literally in the middle of proposing to her. And that he knew if he was honest about his feelings and been open with Hannah Ann, that she would have picked up on that and how not ready he was for an engagement. And the outcome would have probably been much different. And she says he strung her along for selfish reasons. You didn't respect me enough to have that open and honest conversation. There were 2 days in between when Madison left and when you got down on one knee to talk to me about where you were at. So Peter apologizes. He says she's right and that he would do it differently if he could. But Hannah Ann gets the final word.
I should have really picked up on the first red flag that you gave to me was when you wanted to reach out to Hannah Brown.
Excuse you, what? Peter reached out to Hannah Brown? Well, I mean, of course he did. That makes total sense. There was absolutely no closure between the 2 of them at the beginning of this season. And Hannah Ann says it felt like there were 3 women in their engagement. Her, Madison, and Peter's need for closure with Hannah Brown.
So word of advice, if you want to be with a woman, you need to become a real man.
Far and away the most expensive shot of the movie.
All right, somebody better call young doctor from Bachelor in Paradise. He needs to check if Peter still has a pulse after that. Now, at this point, Chris Harrison has some news for Peter. This thing ain't over. After filming, Chris flew over to Auburn to meet with Madison. So the 2 sit down and Chris Harrison asks how Madison is doing. Madison says great. Her eyelashes have only gotten more powerful since the show aired. And okay, here they start cutting to Barbara. Wow, look at that. Barb literally can't stand the sight of Madison. Still, Madison details how hard it's been since she left Peter. Something she's not sure was the right decision.
So you regret what you did?
Yeah, I do.
Chris Harrison then lets Madison know that while Peter did get engaged, he's now single. Is Chris Harrison stepping over a line by doing this behind Peter's back? Well, I bet you they've been in contact with Madison this whole time, and the minute they found out she was regretting her decision, they just sent Chris Harrison and a film crew without hesitation. Go get the shot, Chris. Get it. Bring her home to us. So the question becomes, what happens now? Chris Harrison says, Madison, go pack a bag. Let's head to LA. There, Madison and Peter meet. And there's this idea that the two have not talked at all, but they definitely have been chatting, at least getting into each other's DMs. So after a long hug, Madison tells Peter she still has feelings for him. Peter reciprocates those feelings, and the Barb cam is on absolute fire. Cut back to the live show, it's time for Madison to come out. So alright, Madison, come on down. Okay, the first item up for bid is Peter Weber. What's your wager, Madison?
Like $1.
Oh, I'm sorry, you've overbid. So the two both express that they still have feelings of love for one another, and Barb, well, Barb literally can't. Like, actually, she's saying, I can't. Now, Madison explains that after everything went down in Australia, she's had some time to process. Add in Peter breaking off his engagement, and Madison has realized she still wants to be with him. Peter, too, says that despite all the mistakes he's made, he's ended up on this couch with her, and that's what's important. So, the two are going to take this one day at a time in the direction of having a relationship. But here's the elephant in the room that still needs to be addressed. The Weber family have been seething all night. So Chris Harrison now turns to Mama Weber to ask how she's feeling. Not good, Chris. Not good. Let me tell you why Madison sucks.
She had us wait 3 hours for her to come in she didn't want to meet us.
Now, Madison at this point should have apologized for this. Because here Barb is just explaining why they were so Team Hannah Ann and not Team Madison. But it doesn't stop there. And it should have. Because after Madison says she can't change the past and that she respects Peter so she respects his family, and Peter then asks them to give her a chance, Barb isn't done. She says only one person gave their heart to Peter, only one person compromised, and that was Hannah Ann.
I disagree.
We love them dearly.
I think...
Madison then says, hey, this is her journey as well, and it isn't just Peter choosing her, this is also her choosing Peter. And boy, to be a fly on the wall come Thanksgiving dinner. Alright, Pruitts, tonight the special plate is going to Madison again. Everyone say something nice. Barb, you have to say something nice, Barb. Now, of course, there's some mending that has to be done here. There's wrong on all sides, and there's a lot of stuff Barb isn't wrong about. But sometimes it's better to air your grievances behind the scenes for the sake of your son and the relationship he has ahead of him. Or, you can throw a grenade on the whole thing.
Chris, he's going to have to fail to succeed. That's it.
How heartbreaking that must be for Peter to hear from his own mother.
Everyone that knows him knows that it's not, it's not going to work.
And now it feels like it's going too far. Why do you need to say this? What does it accomplish? Honestly, what does it accomplish other than making herself feel better at the cost of her son's feelings and the feelings of his girlfriend? It shouldn't matter what the situation is or if she's completely right. This night is going to hurt this family and it's going to take a while to repair it. And by trying to rip them apart, you might only be pushing them together. And if that happens, you're going to have to get along with Madison. And yeah, Madison hasn't been perfect. She's made questionable decisions just like the rest of them, and I too believe that these two aren't the perfect match. But she's, 23? Barb is not. She should be the better one here. Sometimes it's just better to be kind than to be right. At this point, Peter then tells his family that he loves Madison, and that should be enough. Then, Chris Harrison chimes in.
Dad, what's your take on this?
So apparently people online have translated this bit of Spanish Barb says here to Mr. Weber, and it translates to, say something bad to help me. Yikes. After Dad says that their beginning was anything but a bright spot, Chris Harrison wishes Peter and Madison the best. And I too wish to share that sentiment. It's going to be a rough few months for these two and the Weber family, both privately and publicly. And this animosity might only bring Peter and Madison closer together. I hope they can all find peace as a family, I really do. Otherwise, it's such a shame to let this thing get in the way of it all. And there it is, the end of the season. I say, let this one lie. It ends still in flames, and sometimes it's just best to walk away from it. Let it burn, and move forward to Claire's season of The Bachelorette. Which, by the way, she did make an appearance at the end of the show. They remind everyone of Juan Pablo and Claire's past, but we'll have a lot more time to talk about that in the coming months. So thank you all for watching this season of The Bachelor with me. What a weird frickin' ride it's been. I hope you enjoyed this video, and be sure to like and subscribe as there's still more Bachelor content on the way. Reviewing Peter's season, discussing things about Claire, including a conspiracy theory on the way, and Listen to Your Heart premiering in a month. So until then, Bachelor Fantake, out.
Why are you the way that you are? I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.